Well, hello and welcome back to the Resto Saga YouTube channel, and this week we are back looking at the Toylander one. As you know, I finished this about 3 years ago and it hasn't really featured on the YouTube channel here since, but I'm glad to report since I moved house I'm now able to have the Toylander up at our own home here, and the boys are really enjoying it. But let's have a look and see how it's fared over the last 3 years down at my parents' house. It has had some wear and tear, and we'll look at what work it's going to need for a bit of maintenance and repair. Let's check it out. So, as I'm sure you'll agree, the Toylander has fared quite well in the last 3 years. It looks particularly good from about 6 or 10 foot away, but as you get a bit closer there is a little bit of wear and tear, and we'll have a look at that now. So the Toylander, for those who don't know, is a half-scale version of a Land Rover Series 1 80-inch. My own is a Series 3 88-inch, and I painted this one to match. I have 2 small boys and a small girl, so they all really enjoy using it out in the garden. Excuse the mess in the garage, there's a bit of heave-ho going on, but let's have a look at the Toylander in a bit more detail. So the first downside is, unfortunately, the paint has cracked here along this join. If you look back through the Toylander series, the whole body is made out of marine ply. So this is whole one sheet down the side, and it's joined at the top, but I have filler in here just to smooth it out, and I think the filler has cracked just from being stored in my dad's shed. Probably a bit of moisture, so over time that probably will need sanded and repainted, but it's not too bad at the minute. If you look over here, same as happened here where there's a join, which is quite annoying, and also along here. Not ideal at all, but nothing compared to the trials and tribulations we went through of painting the bonnet and the wheels. I think it was 3 or 4 times whenever we were building the Land Rover, or the Toylander. The number plates, for those of you who are wondering, this is an old Northern Ireland number plate, and my own is AIW, and this one is IW, which is actually a genuine Northern Ireland plate for an era of a Series 1 Land Rover, so I thought that was pretty cool and quite relevant to the full-sized one. This is where the charger fits in. I have the charger here, and I'm glad to report that the batteries have been holding up really well. When I got it back, I put it on a real long charge. I thought there was a fault with the battery as the charger was sort of moving between this absorption and maintenance stage, alternating, and I thought there was a fault with the battery, but I'm glad to say it all got sorted out. I just wonder, I think the Toylander had a lot of short charges, and I think having one long charge really did the trick and got it all squared up and sorted. Moving around to have a look at the inside then. First thing to say in here, this little foot pedal has had a bit of wear and tear. It's a bit wobbly, so that's probably going to need a bit of attention, as I don't think that's going to last particularly well. It's a bit grubby in here. I haven't tried scrubbing at this too much. I just hope it's dirt and not a bit of mold sitting into the wood, but it is marine ply that I've then coated in PVA, so I think it's as well protected as it possibly could have been. Switch gears all working perfectly. There's a bit of a scratch or a crack in the windshield here, or windscreen. I'm not entirely sure how that happened, but it's probably a little bit of rough handling. Something I have done since moving it up here is to put the little pin through the steering wheel. The boys got a bit excited, and if they were pulling too hard, the steering wheel was coming off, as this lock nut here isn't quite enough to hold it on. So that little roll pin in there will hold it tight, so that's one problem solved anyway. I originally, when I built the Toylander, had been giving a go driving it sitting on the seat with it folded down, but I think I'm too heavy for it, so what I might do is work on putting a screw in here or something just to hold the seat up, because it's banging around and I think it's putting, in fact, I notice that little block in there is getting cracked, so I think a slightly more permanent solution is going to need, whether I just put a screw in here into that block, I'm not entirely sure. But then having the folding seat is also handy for storage too. So moving around the back, this happened. So I moved the Toylander up here in my big rice trailer. There's a video of it, and I had chocks in the wheels, but unfortunately the Toylander mustn't be heavy enough for the chocks to work, and this is obviously rolled back within the trailer during transit and has wrecked this little handle, so I'm going to have to buy another one of those to match the other side. But the nice thing about it, if I look round on the full-sized Land Rover, which handle? That handle is a bit dented and bashed. So it has a bit of poetic symmetry there, but I think I'll get it fixed up and sorted out. Round to the wheels. This particular wheel's always been quite tight on the axle. I suspect the axle's not entirely straight. I bought it off Toylander themselves and I think there's a bit of a kink. So what I might do is look at buying a new axle, a straight one, or trying to straighten this one. So I'll cover that in a video coming up. But I need, looking at the state of this grease, I think I need to work away around the grease nipples, around all the wheels and grease those. And then I need to, if I can get under here, oil those little chains. There's one on each side for each motor. They haven't really been lubricated in a while, so they need sorted out and looked at. The other thought I'd had was to let the tires down a little bit. At the end of the day, it's only two small boys that are going to be in this, with maybe their little sister. And I think it would help with grip. I have a gravel drive, and I suspect that might just help a little bit with grip. Another thing we thought about was putting a little seat in here, like a cushion for them to sit on. I think it's getting a bit luxury and it does get left in the rain sometimes, so I might think about that, but it's pretty cool otherwise. Now, one thing I will say about the Toylander is the brakes are pretty useless. Okay, so this is a handbrake, doesn't really do a whole lot. It gives a bit of resistance, but I think the temptation is for the children to leave it on and then try and drive and then wonder what the noise is. The foot brake, I don't think the system's great, but there's just plenty of engine braking from the two electric motors that are provided, so it's not really an enormous concern, I have to say. When I made the tailgate, I wasn't always entirely happy with it. It's not a great fit, and it actually doesn't open as it should do according to the original design. So that's definitely something I'm going to have to look at, whether I make a new tailgate for it. You know, there's little screws missing here. Just the design of it's just not good, and I don't think I made it particularly well, so I might remake a tailgate for it if I can get matching paint bought. Also, when I put on, I only put reflectors in the back. I think it'd be quite cool to put lights on. The lights at the front work, and the horn works and so on, but having working tail lights would be a neat little touch as well. Again, looking around the inside, I need to paint this up. That is to cover the pretend PTO hole in the rear bumper. So if I would need painted in with the limestone RIL 1015 paint just to match it all in. I need to work out a better solution for holding this spare wheel on. This is just wrapped with insulation tape to stop it scraping the wheel, but as you can see, it's not doing a particularly great job, and actually that just doesn't hold the tire. The tire wants to move around and it's really annoying. So let's open up the bonnet and have a look under there. I haven't actually opened it, the bonnet, since I built this little thing, so let's have a look under there and see how it's faring. So in terms of the electrics, it's all holding up quite well. This is all wired up as per factory. My little cable ties I've held. It's a little fuse box, junctions, batteries themselves, just a bit of dust and dirt really from use. Quite pleased with that. However, it's all real on YouTube. This is going to need glued back on. That must literally have just been sitting there, so that's no good at all. That is the little brace for the back there along the bonnet, so I'm going to have to work at getting that fixed back in there, and that's going to need done quite quickly because the boys are really quite enthusiastic in using this now that it's come up. I mentioned about the paint disasters, and you can really see what I was up against there, the crazing of the paint. I never redid the underside of the bonnet because I got so fed up with it, but maybe I'll fix that someday, but I'm really not rushing to do that again. That's really annoying. I didn't know that was happening, so that's going to need fixed, and pretty quick too. Along the front here, this rope not only looks cool, it's half scale, but it also serves as a bit of a bumper, so if the boys do have a bit of a knock, there's something soft. However, there's a bit of a wiggle in that bumper, so I'm going to have to tighten the nuts up that hold it in place. I think that's pretty much it. Otherwise it's looking all right, except for this broken bar. I can't believe that was under there. So we'll get that squared up quite quickly and get this back on the road. Little jobs to do, make some videos about it in the weeks ahead. and maybe do a side-by-side comparison between the two. I think that would be quite cool. Please excuse the mess once again in the garage, but we'll wrap that video up here. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video about the Toylander 1. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sure you'll agree that this miniature Land Rover is a huge amount of fun, and I think if I was small enough to use it, I would be really excited by it. There will be some videos coming up on it in the weeks and months ahead as we look at it. There's a bit of work needing done, but we'll cover that soon. You can catch me on the Facebook, the Instagram, give the video a like and fire me a comment. I reply to them all. See you next week. Bye.